Hello, this is Kevin Brooks, author of Glider Infantryman Behind Enemy Lines in World War II, published by Texas A&M University Press. Today, we're bringing you the second part of an interview done with Larry Michaelis. Larry was a soldier in the 327 Glider Infantry of the 101st Airborne, Company C. In today's interview, he takes us from leaving camp in France to go, as he put it, to plug the hole at Bastogne in the Battle of the Bulge. Larry talks in detail about his wounding near Foy after the siege of Bastogne was lifted in the 327 action in that area. He also discusses being a part of a guard detail protecting Brigadier General Anthony McCullough. You can learn more about the 327 Glider Infantry at facebook.com/327GIR. Also take the time to look at our page on the 81st Anti-Aircraft Battalion of the 101st Airborne in World War II at facebook.com/81AAA.
Oh, once I was happy, but now I'm airborne, riding in gliders all tattered and torn. The pilots are daring, all caution they scorn, and the pay is exactly the same.
In your squad, what was the mood in the camp when you got back?
After Netherlands, bridge camp, Marla, stone buildings, 2-story, squad rooms, about 10 men in a room. The other side of the hall, we weren't using it all. They had stoves there, they had coal, but it was that hard coal and big lumps. No kindling to start the fires, but there was a bunch of furniture in them empty rooms. They started chopping that stuff up for kindling. After a couple of weeks, they began to realize that everything was starting to disappear out of those other rooms. So then they took inventory. That camp, they thought they had it made, so we
Okay, so you were in pretty good shape.
just didn't stay long.
Probably thinking your stars, you're alive, right?
They pulled in and said, "Oh, you're going to be here all winter, training for a spring offensive."
Do you remember where you were when you heard about having to leave again to go to Bastogne?
I don't know, early in the afternoon or in the morning. Got orders to pack up, be leaving about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Were you in the camp?
Don's platoon leader, Lieutenant Hibbard, he got into fights a lot with his subordinates, and he was in the brig. When the orders came to leave, he got out of jail. And Don's cousin was a service company guy, just a real big brute.
Mm-hmm.
And he said Hibbard came back one time wearing glasses, and he took his glasses off and had both eyes were black. Don's cousin, who was a private, punched him out. But it's kind of funny that when they were at Bastogne, the road that the Germans came up with the white flag to give the ultimatum, that's where Hibbard was. And they took a big attack after that, and he ended up having a piece of shrapnel go through his helmet, Hibbard. And Hibbard was called in to Colonel Harper for defending that road. First of all, they made him get a new helmet. He wanted to keep his helmet because it had that shrapnel hole, and he wanted to keep it. They wouldn't let him keep it. He said, Harper asked him, he goes, "Is there anything else I could do for you besides that?" He goes, "I'd like a good conduct citation." Don and Jack both told me that after I wrote the book. I've never been able to find his family or anything. He was from New York, and I've never been able to find him.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So you rode the truck to Bastogne. Were you standing up?
Yes.
That must have been a long drive.
I think I read it was about 150 miles.
Did they tell you anything along the way?
Nope.
They tell you anything before you got on the truck?
Yes.
What'd they tell you?
Germany broke through in Bastogne, Belgium,
And you're probably thinking, where the heck's that, right?
and you're going to plug the hole.
So how many men were in each truck together?
Oh, at least 40.
Mm-hmm.
Depending how big they were. As you were jammed in so tight you couldn't move. It was a jam, but if you could have picked your feet up, you were jammed so that you wouldn't have moved anyway if you could have picked your feet up the floor.
Don said in the truck he was in that there were some officers in there too, jammed in just like everybody else.
They turned the headlights on. It's the first time I ever been in an army convoy at night with a battle in it. that they drove with the headlights on.
Did that make you nervous?
Well, didn't they say it was foggy, so they didn't think that the German Air Force would get you or something? Is that what they said?
Well, German Air Force hadn't been too active for quite a while, so.
They were in a hurry to get you there.
Yeah.
So where did you get dropped off at? Do you remember?
No.
No.
They don't have any idea.
Was there a school building there?
Not that I know of. Could have been, I don't know.
Sure. So when you got there, what'd you guys do? Some of the G Company guys said that they were allowed to pour gasoline on the ground and light some fires.
I didn't see anybody lighting any fires.
Actually, the middle of the night when you got dropped off somewhere, so probably
Yeah, it was.
probably hard to tell where you were.
Do you remember how long you stayed there, or how soon before they moved you out?
We didn't stay there very long, probably about 4 hours. That's my guess.
You went to Champs.
I think so. Do you know what side of Vasco and the Ela Hess is? Chateau Ela
I
Hess?
think it's a little southwest.
What was the name of that again?
It's ISLE LA SESS.
Is that where you were?
That was that chateau that he guarded for McCullough.
Okay.
We were there, I don't know exactly how long we were there. Half the company be out of the holes at night, in the middle of the night, then it's McCullough moved out there at night for night CP because center of town where he was getting shelled all night long. Out there it was about 200 yards from the German lines. If they didn't know he was there every night for a couple of weeks.
That's very hard to read, but there's Cinna Champs. See, 401 would have been up towards the 502 lines.
Yeah, because San Champs, if you were on, I don't know the name of the road, but if you went this way, you went to San Champs, then you went that way, you went to Ela Hess. And it was like walking distance, I mean, mile and a half.
2nd Battalion has better coordinates than 1st Battalion. I don't know, it's just difference in companies.
Well, and I think it was Hush Hush, which is as far as, you know, him being over there with McCullough, because they didn't want anyone to know he was there. But you were also shared your quarters with a black battalion, right? Or black?
They were only there one night.
Oh, one night?
Is it artillery?
Said it was a long time outfit, that's all I know about it.
So how long were you with McCullough?
Well, the rest of the company left. First platoon stayed behind to guard him at night. A week later, the rest of the platoon came back, and I don't know. I don't think they were full. They got a bunch of replacements right over there that had been through jump school. When they came back, there was 4 men left out of the platoon. A week while we were tanks in the area. That's what happened to the 2nd platoon.
Yeah. Did you ever see McCullough?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of him?
Well, apparently he was like a lot better than Taylor was. I can't remember his name, but he was a captain. He was in the headquarters, division headquarters. I read that both Taylor and McCullough are buried in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after McCullough died, he put a wreath on McCullough's grave every time it's Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and I don't know how many times a year. But he didn't put one on Taylor's. Must have thought a lot more of McCullough than he did Taylor.
You said you did that for about a week?
Yeah.
So then if you were there, then you weren't under any German pressure right then. Just doing the guarding.
Was that Christmas time or before Christmas?
Hmm?
Was that before Christmas or over the holidays?
I think it was close to Christmas. I don't think Christmas had been there quite yet. I think it was around the 22nd.
So you were able to sleep indoors?
Yeah.
Did you get any frostbite?
No. Sometime before that it said, wiggle your toes whenever you can think of it when you got a chance. We got back in that chateau in last year, or
2014.
2014.
What was it like going back?
Outside looked exactly like it did 70 years ago. The only thing I could see any difference, they didn't have any sheep there anymore. And also there was a set of tennis courts that weren't there in World War II. Otherwise, building looked exactly like it did.
C Company ended up being up at Champs. The Germans had attacked with tanks, and several of them got into Champs. And then the 327 and the 502 had them surrounded. And then C Company and A Company led an attack to clear Champs.
Well, A and C Company had been combined because of both half strength at that time.
Was that from fighting at Champs, or was it from fighting while you were guarding the McCullough then?
Or before.
Well, why would it have to Chateau?
While you were at the chateau.
G Company was positioned, I mean, they were on the front line some. This was after the siege was ended, and the Germans were pressuring Champs in that area with tanks. And the 327 pretty much had Champs surrounded, but there were tanks that were in Champs. And Don was told to go position himself down the road in case the tanks broke through A and C Company and the 502. But they never got out of town.
Do you know the date of that?
January 4th.
So you think you were still at the chateau on January 4th?
Probably.
Yeah, but McCullough stayed a little bit later for so he probably missed that battle at Champ.
And again, this is after the siege was lifted. Don was positioned out here in case the Germans barreled down the road trying to escape. And that's when he got into a fight with the acting captain. And he just said, this is suicide because they're out in the open. There was no place to dig in. There were 2 bazookas, and he told 2 of them just to go and stay in the barn. There's no reason for you guys to be out here and be killed. And so 2 of them were out there in the open, but then the attack never came. And then several days later, he was asked to lead a patrol. But the new commander, who was a lieutenant, the guy wanted Don to lead a patrol. Don was the leader of the bazooka section, but Evan, the captain, would never give him the stripes. And then Don actually refused when they were up at Foy. He refused to lead the patrol. He goes, I can't lead this. He goes, I don't have the stripes. The commander just said, okay. And that was all there was to it.
Mm-hmm.
He was a bit of a rebel.
We had a half Cherokee Indian in our squad from Oklahoma. That night I got wounded, he said we were wandering around in the fog. He said, I ran into this soldier. He says he started swearing in German. He says, I just faded back and he faded back the other direction.
But anyway, yeah, A and C Company were chewed up and put together. And so the next stop along the way is up at Foy. Did you know Eliason? Because Eliason and, I don't know if I can find his name, another guy, were you in the group that was surrounded in the woods up at Foy? But the 506 was on your left at Foy. 327 was in the middle, and there's an open field. When the attack started, the 327 was having a hard time getting moving because they were in the center of the attack and the Germans were putting a lot of pressure on it. So anyway, setting up the scenario, the 327 is in the middle, and you're in it's a wooded area. It's called, was it Boys Jakes? Rujak. I can't pronounce it.
Which means Jack's Wood.
Jack's Wood. Exactly. And but there's an open area, and that's where the 327 was, and that's where the heavy pressure from the Germans was coming. And Taylor threatened to fine the leaders if they didn't get moving. And what ended up happening was the 327 totally took the Germans off guard and routed, just basically overran the Germans. The paratroopers on both sides didn't keep up. And on the left side, the left flank, when you guys were in the woods, the C Company, Ace Company, or Ace, whatever it was called, became surrounded in the woods because of that. And this Lieutenant Eliason and whoever was with him made it through the enemy area to go get assistance for that. But I was just kind of curious what your remembrance was of being in the woods.
I can remember when we were up in the Netherlands, Taylor comes dug in along behind a dike. Taylor comes through one day with his 4 bodyguards.
Mhm.
Looking around. You didn't shave, you didn't shave, you didn't shave. Get yourself shaved.
That wasn't very nice.
So the morning of the day you got wounded, Daddy.
No, that was in.
So it was cold. Was it foggy?
Part of the time.
There's a bunch of mortars or screaming meanies.
This was the 13th.
Mortar, shell, or shrapnel to the back. Kidney area. Is it on your right or your left side, Danny?
Right side.
So you basically went face first into the snowbank or snow. You were gonna get up and keep fighting, right? But the medic told you to stay down.
Yeah.
Did they cart you off or did you walk off on your own?
Walked off.
Do you remember about how, was it still in the morning or was it later in the day that happened?
I think it was early in the afternoon, if I remember right.
Okay.
Did you know, here's some names here. Perry Hayworth,
Yeah. He's a half Cherokee Indian.
that's him.
He got killed in Korea too.
It said that he and Joseph Johnson, Joe Johnson, took out some tanks with their bazookas.
He was in my squad. It was a light German tank he took out.
So they got within 50 yards of the tank. We're holding up the advance of the company, and they put 3 rounds into the tank. Later in the woods, another tank opened up on their company, and then given covering fire by Joseph Saddleman,
Yeah, I knew him too.
who was in your
Platoon. I think he was in the 2nd squad, I think.
he was with Ada Browning. And then those two bazooka men got within 15 yards of the tank, and with their 2 remaining rounds stopped it, killing 2 of the crew and wounding another. Still later, resupplied with ammunition by returning prisoner guards, Hayworth and Johnson knocked out the track off of a 3rd tank. It says here Captain Miller was the commander, and then Captain Johnson, who was A Company, acted as the executive. Your total strength between 2 companies was 5 officers and 114 men, of which only 24 were riflemen. Of course, you said that they took it down when they were at the chateau. When you were at the chateau, they took some pretty bad casualties. Let's see if there are any other names here. Were you wounded before that, after that, or?
After that.
That happened, and then by 1600, you guys were battling in the woods. And then it says, meanwhile, Ace Company got through, no relief got through, and you guys were surrounded in the woods. You'd been cut off. The Dividermen dug in, and small arms fire and artillery concentrations held the Germans off all night. And you said you were wounded on the
13th.
Okay, it was on the 14th then that Eliason, he was of C Company, tried to get through the main forces. Oh, they were captured. I'd forgotten that. Eliason and the guy that were trying to get at help were captured. Okay. So then, what happened next after you were wounded? Well, if I could back up a little bit, back to Johnson and Hayworth, that was their names? You think that they were taking on the tanks before you got wounded?
Yeah. I only remember 1 tank though. The any more must have been after I was out of there.
Were you in a lot of pain?
No.
You walked to an aid station?
Yep.
And then what'd they do with you?
Took a look at it and threw some salt pot on it, I guess, and put it in an ambulance.
Ooh, that would have hurt.
You said it was shrapnel?
Mortar shell fragments. We were under some trees and mortar shells were hitting up the treetops.
Okay. Were you standing or?
Till I got hit. Then I was on the face in the snow then.
Okay. So you went aid station, and must have been a lot. Were there many guys there? Because the 327 took a lot of casualties that day. A lot of like 70 some casualties both days.
There must have been about 10 walk-in wounded in the ambulance, and headed for evacuation hospital.
Do you know where that was at?
No, I don't. All I know is in 39th evacuation hospital.
And you went from there to where?
6th convalescent hospital in Metz, France.
Do you know how long you were at the first hospital?
About 3 days.
How long were you at the second one?
About 3 weeks.
And from there?
Back to the company again. Took 3 weeks to catch up with them.
So you caught up with them in Alsace?
Yeah.
Did you get a Purple Heart?
And Alsace, when I got there, they had tents, pup tent pitched in the orchard there by the farmhouse. And the son had just been released by the American Army. He was in the French Army. The Germans captured him and put him in the German Army. Then the Americans captured him. After they processed him, they sent him home.
Yeah, the guys I interviewed said that the problem with being in that area was you never knew really which side people were on, because it went back and forth over the centuries, and you never knew quite for sure. Don said he and Jack were walking down a street one night, and somebody opened up a machine gun on him, just in the town, just some local. That's the story in the book where they dive into this building and they fall into a basement, but the stairs were gone. It was dark.
They didn't break something.
Yeah. So do you have much recall of what happened in that area? Alsace?
They were only there about a day or two before we pulled out of there after I got back.
Okay, so that was about the end of it when you got there.
And then you went back to what, Camp Marmelon?
Yes, but the barracks had been taken over by the hospital, so they put us in 6-man tents.
So it wasn't as good. The life wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't. They had these sheet metal stoves in the tents. The engineer battalion was cutting birch trees for firewood. It was green. Bulletin board had the tent where our living room was. Notice there, absolutely no gasoline we used for starting fires.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning, poof, 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 all down the line. It's the only way you can get that green birch to start burning. You got a good fire in those sheet metal stoves at night. Those the cherry red stove was the whole stove.
And then from there you went to Dusseldorf?
Across the river from Düsseldorf.
Yeah.
Well, we said noose, but I don't think we were pronouncing it right.
Yeah, because he's got a picture there. One of them.
Put us along the river there.
Did you do any patrols there?
We were supposed to pick up any German soldiers trying to come back across the river. But all along the river was little cottages, and the basement was full of canoes and kayaks on racks. Every one of them had a hole chopped in them. That's all sorts of them.
But yes, C Company I know did some patrols there. So you were involved in some of that.
I don't remember going on any patrols. If they did, I didn't get in on it.
Did you ever go across the river?
No.
Just occasional artillery?
Not very often, no.
So you packed up from then and moved on further into Germany?
Yes.
What do you remember about that?
Nothing happened.
What about the concentration camp?
Didn't get in it, but we went by in the convoy on one of them. the gate was open and they were coming out. I don't know how the hell they could walk. Just looked like skeletons.
It was Company A that did some of the patrols. I met a family who had their great uncle. The river was high, and they had a boating accident crossing back, and he drowned. But yeah, that would be Company A. What about displaced persons? Did you interact with any of the displaced people? And so from there you moved to Hitler's hideout?
Purchase gate, yeah.
Did you pull guard duty?
Yes.
So what'd you think of that place?
Beautiful country.
Mm-hmm.
You live in hotels.
Did you interact much with the locals?
No. Tried to find a hotel the last time I was there. I couldn't find it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they tore it down or...
Did you have any fun there? In Bavaria, did you have...
A little beer or something?
When we were going in, we were on the Autobahn. Both the sides were U.S. Army was using. Like here, north, south, they're using both sides of the road. And in that medium strip, the German Army was marching down four abreast, trying to get into the American zones.
They didn't cause any trouble, did they?
No, they didn't.
You were riding in a duck, right?
Part of the time.
Yeah.
They were taken out of the convoy once, the platoon, and sent sweeping through the countryside to see if they could find any SS soldiers who were hiding out. We didn't find them. We came back with a German army truck and about 4 cars. There's a garage in one farmhouse, and we opened the doors, looked down there, and the farmer comes running out with the keys. And it wasn't his car wasn't painted camouflage or anything, so probably shouldn't have taken it. But we took a good sized building and the big doors on it. We opened it. The German army truck in there was a kid in a German uniform, about 16 years old, 15, 16, sleeping in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
So we took that too.
What'd you do with him?
It took him long until we got back to the battalion. You go through those German cemeteries over there in Bastogne. Biggest share of those stones are 15, 16 years old.
Do you remember the train ride back to France?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Boxcars were better riding than trucks.
Yeah.
Put about 2 foot of straw on the bottom of the boxcars.
Could you see out at all?
Oh yeah, the doors are open all the time.
Got to stop a little bit here and there?
Yeah, once in a while they did.
So when you got back to France, then what'd you do? Did you ever ride in a glider again?
Yes. I don't know how often you had to ride. It was once every 3 months or what it was, I don't remember. To keep getting the pay. By that time, 501 had been deactivated.
Mm-hmm.
We got a bunch of those guys from 501. They didn't have enough points to get discharged. They had to jump to keep getting the pay. If they didn't want to jump anymore, they could sign a quick slip, and then of course they didn't get no pay anymore, extra pay anymore. Mm-hmm. And the one guy, I remember he signed one. He said, I only joined the paratroops in the first place to get away from that damn mule. He must have been in the mountain division or something.
Yeah. Would you ever ride in a glider again?
No, I could help it.
Did you have to work in the mail room?
No.
Well, by then he was a staff sergeant.
Okay. So when did you get promoted?
Right after Best.
About then, most of those platoon sergeants and everything had been in an extra year. So they were all gone.
So what'd you end up doing in France when you got back?
Well, you either had to train like you were in basic training, or they had some schools going on too. So
When did you get to go home?
came back with some transportation outfit.
So how was adjustment to life back home? Was it easy for you or hard?
It was easy.
If you were going to talk to some kids about your experience, what are a couple things you'd tell
I think you'd be smarter if you joined the Navy.
them?
Well, you'd probably tell them about your glider ride in Operation Market Garden, just because so many people don't know about the gliders.
Well, we were living in Madison, about 40 miles from Janesville. That glider symposium. That's the first time I knew that they'd been training glider pilots down in Janesville.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't come out at all in the paper or anything during. I was still in high school then when they were doing that.
Did they take your helmet away from you when you left the Army?
Yes, one of those guys that came in Bastogne that had been through a jump school. He got shot right through the helmet, right above his head. It scratched his top of his head. I suppose he tried to keep that helmet. I bet you didn't get to keep it though.
Oh, once I was happy, but now I'm airborne, riding in gliders all tattered and torn. The pilots are daring, all caution they scorn, and the pay is exactly the same. One day I answered a popular call and got in the Army to stay on the ball. An infantry outfit, foot soldiers and all, is where they put me to train. They gave me basic at Camp Airborne. There I was happy and never forlorn, till they split us up and made us airborne, and the pay is exactly the same. Once I was happy, but now I'm airborne, riding in gliders all tattered and torn. The pilots are daring, all caution they scorn, and the pay is exactly the same. Once I was infantry, now I'm a dope, riding in gliders attached to a rope. Safety and landing is only a hope, and the pay is exactly the same. We fight in fatigues, no fancy jumpsuits, no bright leather jackets, no polished jump boots. We crash land by glider without parachutes, and the pay is exactly the same. Once I was happy, but now I'm airborne, riding in gliders all tattered and torn. The pilots are daring, all caution they scorn, and the pay is exactly the same. We work in headquarters, we sit on a chair, we figure out tactics and take to the air. We fly over Jerry and drop in his hair, and the pay is exactly the same. We glide through the air with the greatest of ease. We do a good job and we try hard to please. The finance department we pester and tease, but the pay is exactly the same. Once I was happy, but now I'm airborne, riding in gliders all tattered and torn. The pilots are daring, all caution they scorn, and the pay is exactly the same.